We are cutting in with news of schools across Colorado placed on lockdown due to unconfirmed threats.
Boulder police are still clearing the high school after unconfirmed reports of someone near the school with a gun. They're holding a press conference right now. We know that Chief Maris Harold and Deputy Chief Stephen Redfern are speaking. Let's listen in.
And we're actually not quite ready just yet. They are still getting set up at this time. We'll tell you the limited information that we do know. Boulder police have said that they are lifting the shelter-in-place order that was set in place for that area, though they still say they are clearing Boulder High School at this time. Some good news, there is no confirmed reports of any injuries that we are told of at this time, but they are asking that people continue to avoid the area.
We are showing you a map right now of all of the schools that have had calls that came in today, unconfirmed threats at schools, several of the schools. I believe that they're starting the press conference right now, so hopefully we can listen in.
N-E-W-A-U-G-H. Chief Maris Harold of the Boulder Police Department is going to speak to you first. CHIEF-MARIS-HEROLD. She's going to be followed by Deputy Chief Stephen Redfern, STEPHEN-REDFEARN. And Randy Barber with Boulder Valley School District is going to speak after that, RANDYBARBER, and then we will take a few questions. So right now, I'm going to turn it over to Boulder Police Chief Maris Harold. Chief.
Thanks, Dan. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming. I want to get this right for the community and for the parents of Boulder High School here. So this is really important. CU Dispatch Center, their non-emergency dispatch center, received a 911 call at approximately 8:33 this morning. I have listened to this 911 call. It is very scary. In the background, you can actually hear shots being fired. This prompted an emergency response by the Boulder Police Department and our command center protocol. So the way this call came in really was authentic to make you believe that we had a real active shooter in the front of the school at Boulder High School. We had a tremendous response from all of our partners across the county, including Boulder Valley High School security teams, our federal partners, and county fire, and obviously Boulder Fire Department. We immediately sent in contact teams to the school. Our officers arrived on the scene within 3 minutes. We had contact teams within the school. They cleared the entire school within short order, and we also had canine teams on scene because there were reports of also possible bombs located within the school. We also know that there has been numerous calls like this across the state of Colorado, and our federal partners are actively investigating those calls across the state. And obviously, the Boulder PD investigative team is investigating that in our alignment with the FBI. I want to stress that I know how scary this is for the Boulder community, and especially the students and parents of the kids impacted by this type of call. I want to report that there are no injuries. Everyone is safe and out of the school at this time, and that we've set up command posts to make sure the kids are and the students are properly relayed to their parents and their loved ones. And so with that, I am more than happy to answer any questions. I have Deputy Chief Redfern, who's been in command of this situation since 8:33 this morning here as well. So with that, I'll answer any questions that you all have.
Can you describe what that phone call sounded like again?
We had a caller relay that he was out in front of Boulder High School. He had semi-automatic weapons and that he was prepared to go into the high school. And shortly thereafter, there was active shooting, very realistic gun sounds in the background.
And Chief, do you know if the other agencies that received similar calls, do they have that same dramatic effect to them, if you will?
I do not know that at this time. We are in contact. The FBI is actually here on scene, and they're putting all this together from across the state. I don't know exactly what type of information was relayed to the other schools at this time.
Chief, was there evidence that the person who made this initial call was ever at the high school?
We have no evidence to suggest that. But like I said, the caller, when he did call, said he was out front of the Boulder High School and was prepared to go in.
You're searching for him?
I'm sorry.
How many students were inside the school at the moment?
I don't have exact numbers, but we're talking, I think the school was on a delay this morning, so we didn't have as many students as we would normally, but I'm thinking over 200 students have been evacuated at this time.
Chief, could you just give us a description of the process of what your people did to clear the school?
Yeah, obviously when we receive a call like that, it's all hands on deck. And like I said, we got there within 3 minutes, and we had contact teams, which are groups of 3 to 4 officers get together and make a dynamic entry into the school. We made contact with the security system, security personnel at Boulder High School, and obviously they have to go systematically through every room, every floor, to make contacts with kids and make sure they get them out safely. So it's a long process, but we did it right, and I'm proud of the response of all of our partners in the Boulder Police Department. Obviously, this is the scariest kind of call, a 911 call you can get, especially when you look across the country and you see how many of these shootings are occurring. And so, very scary call.
Chief, is there any evidence of bullet shots or anything?
We have no evidence of that at all.
Chief, when officers arrived at the school, did students and teachers inside know that there was a threat, or was that the first indication that something was wrong?
Our contact team made quick contact with their security personnel and indicated, are you hearing shots? Do we have any evidence of an active shooter at that time? And so that's exactly what they do. That's the protocol.
This may be premature, but is it possible to tell whether this phone call that you received is coming from the same person, and he or she made the same call, one person making the same call to all the agencies, about all the schools?
Yeah, I wish I had more information on that. They are tracking that down right now. It appears, though, that court order, schools across the state of Colorado received a call.
In short order, all about the same time?
I can't say all about the same time, but I can tell you that it seems like it was a systematic way of calling schools.
Chief, can you describe again the call? You said it was a male, female who called.
It sounded to me, and obviously we'll have criminalistics listen to this call. It sounded to me to be a male caller, but like I said, I could be wrong once criminalistics starts listening to that tape.
Chief, on that same point, because we've heard of other districts having these calls, some others have reported that the person may have had an accent. Did you hear any indication of an accent at all?
I really couldn't discern if it was an accident or not.
Chief, can you tell us about the state of some of the students and staff? I mean, you said it's scary calls coming in. What were they kind of like when those contact teams showed up?
I have not seen personally the students, but put yourself in this situation. It's just a terrible situation to put students into, and very scary for parents involved and the community at large. So I just can't imagine being a student and seeing police go door to door. I just want to emphasize that to the community, quick response. I'm proud of the response. We got in there with contact teams and cleared the building as quickly as possible.
There was another, 2 days ago, there was another incident nearby in the hotel, another shooter. I mean, this is happening too often. Is this related, separate?
This is a totally separate incident, but another scary incident, you're right.
At this point, you won't call this a hoax. Is this a hoax call?
I don't want to call it. I don't want to call it anything right now until I have confirmation after I talk to the FBI.
Why would you call
It's a good question, and we don't know at this time. But it did come into CU's dispatch system.
They said the activity was at the...
Yes.
Chief, the shelter in place orders that were issued earlier this morning, are they still in effect?
No, we've released, we still have an investigation, ongoing investigation, and we still have canines in the area, but we have released and lifted the lockdown.
Chief, are you actively tracking the suspect to make the call?
Actively, I can't say at this time. That's an ongoing investigation.
Would you have the ability to trace the call from dispatch where it came in?
I have a lot of abilities, but I just can't say right now until I talk to the FBI.
And if this is indeed a hoax, how serious, in your professional opinion, is it?
I think this is so serious. I think I just, in my wildest imagination, I cannot imagine doing this. It is very serious. And I guarantee you that our federal partners and the Boulder Police Department will do everything possible to get to the bottom of this. And guys, that's all I have time for. If you have any tactical questions, let me go through first.
And we do have Brandy from the school system.
Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for the chief reference or specifics? And we have Brandy from school district.
Absolutely. So preliminarily, around 8:33 is when we were notified of the call. There's a very short delay because it came into CU first, and then was routed to our dispatch center very quickly. Our first officers, all on-duty personnel, detectives, everybody that was on duty responded.
All right, it seems like we're having some technical difficulties right now with our mics there out at the press conference. We're going to keep on this, though, just in case we're able to get those mics working, we're able to listen back in. While we work on that, we can recap some of the information that we just heard Chief Maris Harold delivering there at the scene, or at the media staging area. Actually, I'm going to pause really quickly. Maybe we can listen to Deputy Chief Redford.
And that includes what we're still doing now in the school with bomb detection dogs, just to be very safe that when we turn the school back over to the school district, there are absolutely no threats.
Did you find any strange package with the K9 or no?
So there were items in the school, like backpacks, that were discarded by students, and we used those to make sure that there weren't any hazardous items. So that's,
all right, as we get
why it takes
situated,
so
let's go ahead and recap some of that information that we just heard. Again, that was Chief Maris Harold that we had heard with Boulder Police. She said that initially they got a call around 8:33 this morning. She said she's not at this time ready to call this a hoax call, but it sounded like it could have been real at the moment, that it sounded like someone she believes with a man's voice. She could not confirm or give any credibility to that, though, that they had said, they were standing outside of Boulder High School with a semi-automatic weapon and that they were ready to go in. She said in that call, it sounded like you could hear shots being fired as well. She described this call as very scary, as the scariest kind of 911 call that you can get.
You can imagine why they took this so seriously so quickly. So within 3 minutes, they were routing people to the high school. It was placed on lockdown. The one thing is that they were on a delayed start today. It was supposed to be a 9:45 start at Boulder High School. So she's saying there's only about 200 students that were there at the school, and they were all relocated to Mackey Auditorium on CU campus. She did say there are no injuries. Everyone is safe. Everyone is out of the school. The FBI is on scene as well investigating this because, again, there's about 10 schools that received similar calls today.
She said that they treat this very seriously, and you can imagine, given that the Boulder community has been a lot in the past couple of years, especially with the King Super shooting. It sounds like Randy Barber with Boulder Valley School District is talking. Let's listen in.
District. When notified about the situation today, we immediately enacted what's called the lockdown. As most of us have heard, it's locks, lights, out of sight. So everyone is encouraged to come into a classroom, into a place that they can close and lock the door, turn off the lights, and be as quiet as possible. That's a normal protocol for an active shooter type of situation. We did send out immediately information to parents and staff of the school, parents, letting them know about the lockdown so that they could take action. This was a late start day for us. On Wednesdays we have late start, and so the school is scheduled to be open at 9:35 a.m. So we were able to let most parents and students know prior to arriving at the school what was going on, so they were able to avoid being here. We did have some students that were here for before school activities, including athletics and things like our orchestra, that kind of thing. And so we had approximately 198 people total that were evacuated from school once the lockdown was completed. They were taken by bus to CU, and I also want to thank CU for their partnership with us. The reunification site was Mackey Auditorium, so parents are encouraged to come there to show identification to be able to pick up their students. I'm hearing from my staff that is going very, very well. We have very few students that are left there at this point. That check-in has gone very smoothly. I will also mention that during a situation like this, we do have buses that are transporting students. Those buses are given the command to not come to the school during that time, and so they were kind of held away from the school. Once the situation is sort of determined that we were going to do the reunification, they were then also sent over to Mackey, so they were being reunified as well. Just to kind of give you an idea of numbers, we know that about 60 to 70 students were at the school and in that lockdown. We've got as many as 200 students that might have been being transported, so I don't have a firm number on that, but there were quite a few students that might have been impacted by being on a bus. The total school enrollment is 2,025 students, and we've got about 100 or so staff members there. And we also just want to say that we recognize, given everything that the city has been through, that this could be a very traumatic situation for everyone involved, but especially our students. We've activated the district trauma team. That means that we have a team of counselors, grade counselors from other schools that will be working to support the students both here at Boulder High School, but also at other schools. Again, we recognize that just even the news coverage of this, let alone being in the school when something like this happens, can be quite traumatic. So there will be help for mental support for students that need that help as well.
What about you drill lockdown procedures?
Every school is expected to run it once a semester, and so a school like Boulder High School would be running it once this semester and once last semester.
Do you know if they've already done it this semester?
I'm not sure. I can check on that for you.
Randy, when we make a decision about tomorrow, if that hasn't been made already?
I haven't heard about tomorrow. We know for sure that the school will be closed for the remainder of the day. I'm checking also on after-school activities, but I would expect that those will likely be canceled.
What's been the reaction to the teachers and students?
We haven't had an opportunity to talk to a lot of them at this point. We've been focused on ensuring that information is going out to them. I think that up to this point, what we've heard is that they're thankful for the information. I think, as the chief said, this is a horrific situation. It's the worst fear that most parents, most students have. It's something, unfortunately, that they think about because of the other incidents that have happened around the country. And so we know that everyone is reacting in that sort of way. But overall, what we've heard so far is at least thankful that we've had a good response to it.
How was the sequence of events this morning and the time that transpired between the call coming into the CU dispatcher and the alert going out, the first alert going out to parents?
I don't know specifics. I do know that as soon as we received word, and I think as police were saying here, that they immediately called the school. At that point, we were notified about the possibility of a threat, and so the action was taken immediately. But I don't know in terms of minutes and seconds, that kind of thing.
Does Boulder High have security cameras inside and outside campus?
We do, yes, in public areas inside, but also around the campus on the outside.
Deputy Chief, one more question for you.
Sure.
Sir. You said the call came to CU dispatch. Is that unusual, or if a 911 call was made in this area, is that you where it was outside?
Sure, it's a great question. To the best of my knowledge, it was not a 911 call. If it was a 911 call, it would have been routed to Boulder Police Dispatch. I believe, based on the information I have, it came into a non-emergency line.
A non-emergency line for the university?
For the Colorado University Police Department.
There's no more questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, again, you've been listening to a press conference there with Boulder Police and the Boulder Valley School District. This is following their investigation there after they got calls of a person with a gun outside of Boulder High School. Again, a very scary situation. Before we get into too much of the information, the big headline there that they wanted everyone to know is that everyone is in fact safe and out of the school at this time.
Yeah, so that was Randy Barber with Boulder Valley School District, and he was updating everyone on the situation with the students today. Again, we were talking about a 9:45 start time. It was a delayed start today. So there were about 200 students that were at campus early. They were all evacuated, and there's a reunification process that's been happening at Mackey Auditorium on the CU campus. Apparently, a lot of that has been going smoothly. They were asked to send one parent with identification to pick up the kid, and most of those students have been picked up at this time. And again, as Jordan was saying, the biggest thing here, no injuries. Everyone is safe. Everyone is out of the school. They had a very quick response within within 3 minutes. They had teams at the school. They had the canines on team. They had the bomb canines on team as well. And the FBI has been on scene as well.
They took this very seriously. In fact, Chief Maris Harold described this as the scariest kind of 911 call you can get. You heard Randy Barber with the Boulder Valley School District acknowledge that the Boulder community has been through so much within the past couple of years. And this, of course, is something that sends everybody on high alert. They got a call this morning, an emergency call to the non-emergency center at CU around 8:33 this morning. They said in that call there was a person who said they were armed with a semi-automatic weapon who was going to go into the high school and start shooting. They said in that call it sounded like they could hear gunshots, so they responded very quickly. They took it very seriously. They said on scene within 3 minutes of that call.
Yeah, Chief Harold said at this point there is no evidence to suggest that that caller was actually ever in front of the school. They did not find any bullets or bullet holes in front of the school either. Randy Barber did say that they do have cameras outside of the school. I'm sure that's something that they are going to be looking into. But they said they're not calling this a hoax at this time. You know, each jurisdiction has been, focusing on their specific school. But again, this is one of roughly 10 calls that schools in Colorado received right around the same time this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. They said they're actually going to be investigating if all of these different calls could have potentially been coming from one person. They couldn't say at this time if that was the case, but they did say that is something they're going to be looking into. Some of those other districts that we had mentioned there, we heard from Brighton, we heard from Canyon City, we've heard from Pitkin County and Aspen specifically. We heard from Aurora as well.
Each one of them, again, are looking at their individual school to see what kind of threat this is. The question was asked whether or not this call sounded similar for all of these schools, and that has yet to be determined if it sounded like the same person, the same type of situation, with saying that they're outside of a school and then, they hear bullet shots in the background. So clearly a lot to look into and decide whether or not this was in fact a hoax or if this just happened to be several different instances at one time. Yeah,
and one more thing before we return you to regular programming. They did say for Boulder specifically that school will be canceled for the rest of the day. All after-school activities have also been canceled. That shelter-in-place order that was put in place earlier this morning has since been lifted, and they are still clearing the Boulder High School at this time while they continue to investigate.
Of course, we have crews on the scene there and at some of the other schools as well. They are continuing to listen to this press conference, ask any more questions that they may have. 9 News at noon is coming up in just a few minutes, and we're going to have the very latest then as well.